Thank you for taking my question, Ms. London. This week, Jeb Bush called for the elimination of nuclear weapons, making this actually a very bipartisan issue. I know in the past you've supported that goal. You've actually said that nuclear terrorism is one of the biggest issues facing this world. I agree, and I want to ask you as president, what specifically would you do to make sure we're on a path towards eliminating nuclear weapons and to ensure that terrorists do not get hold of nuclear weapons?
It's a really important question, and thank you for asking it. I will continue to do much of what I did as Secretary of State working with President Obama. You know, we worked hard to reduce the stockpiles of weapons between Russia and the United States with the nuclear weapons that states have. One of my goals as president will be to get China involved. I will also be focused on how we come to grips with North Korea. And now that we put a lid on the Iranian nuclear weapons program, we have to make sure the lid stays on, and we have to enforce the agreement that I was part of negotiating. But we also have to turn our attention to North Korea, and we've got to get China to work with us, because that is the biggest lever we have with respect to the North Koreans. But as the young man said, it's not just dealing with nuclear weapons states, because they have something to lose. You know, they have to calculate what the cost could be of them of ever using this horrible weapon. And that does have a deterrent effect on them, as we saw during the Cold War. The real threat is loose nuclear material that is stolen, that is sold, or that is provided for ideological reasons to terrorist groups. That's what keeps me up at night. And so we have to do more to secure all of the nuclear material in the entire world. And President Obama started that. We began in his first term, when I was secretary, a nuclear security, a nuclear security conference, where we brought people out of the former Soviet Union countries who had old nuclear material around, and worked to enhance law enforcement and surveillance so that we knew where every bit of it was. And some countries, like Ukraine, shipped it out, gave it up, and we are going to have to continue to monitor that and make sure that this material is not stolen and either sold or given to terrorist groups. Now, the other big threat of this is that in countries with nuclear weapons, there are ideological forces that might try to subvert, radicalize people inside a government who have responsibility for taking care of nuclear weapons, and persuade them this would be the greatest effort to teach the world a lesson that the jihadists could ever achieve. So we have to be very cautious about that. It's one of the reasons there's no way around it. So I will build on the work that I helped to start back in the Obama administration and be very aggressive in reaching out to countries where intelligence tells us there may be some potential breaches and some thieves who are in the market for nuclear weapons or material to make a dirty bomb, which would not necessarily kill as many people, but would certainly terrorize a very large area. So this is one of my highest priorities. I've said in the debates, when I'm asked, you know, what is the biggest threat, what keeps me up at night, that nuclear material falling into the hands of terrorists who know how to use it is at the top of my list. And I will not rest. I will do everything I can to make sure the world, we of course, but the world is safe from that horrible threat.